First off, I've been doing green building for a long time, and my reputation was out there, good or bad, but they knew I was a green builder. So the Russell family, who owns this sugar bush just north of this property, liked this field, right here. It's a south-facing field, and they wanted that for agriculture. So they approached me because the price sticker for the whole thing was a little too high. So they approached me and said, is there some way we could do something, build some homes and actually have a CSA, a farm here. So that's how it started. And I looked at it, and this whole hillside, south facing, so it's a perfect setup for passive solar homes that could be tucked into the hillside. So we wanted to demonstrate that we can do a whole development that is essentially net zero by making the houses smaller, tucking them into the hillside, putting a lot of south-facing glass, minimize the north-facing glass. And if you look at, we're looking at the backside of some of these houses, there's not much glass there on the north side. So these are passive solar, active solar homes that are demonstrably net zero energy. And whole neighborhoods can be built to demonstrate how we don't need to use fossil fuel to heat our homes, and most of these homes don't need to burn carbon at all. Number one, what we've demonstrated is that you can build a community that's net zero. It's actually the first community in the state that's done that. We've proven we can do it. So new developments that go in can be net zero here in Vermont, which some people say there's just not enough sun to do that. That's not true. We can do this pretty easily, actually. Produce enough energy via the sun to run all the systems, not just the heat pump, but also the lighting, the appliances, everything.
It is just from solar,
yes.
Solar energy.
The one house that we recorded the data on in 2008 produced actually 67 kilowatts more than it needed to run everything in the house in 2008. So technically they're net positive energy homes. I'm here at a neighborhood that we constructed several years ago. The name of the neighborhood is called South Farm. And with me is Carrie and David Fenn, who are one of the first houses that we actually built here.
This is the house. I guess you can see this in the background. It's got quite a few windows here, and that's to allow the solar heat in when we want it. A building, it's got a metal roof, but applied to the channels in the roof there are solar collectors.
Yep, and they're called unisolar panels that actually were applied before we put the metal roof up. So we designed these houses so that we had enough roof to run what we thought was the appropriate kilowatt hours that would be required for the house annually.
Another interesting aspect of this, if you note the overhang from the roof overhangs quite a bit, and that's on purpose because what happens is when we want the sun the most in the winter, we need it to heat the house, it'll go in, but in the summer when we want it cooler, the sun is going overhead and that protects it and keeps the sun out. It's a very important factor.
We're in our garage now to see how much our solar was produced by our photovoltaics on the roof, and this is a solar inverter, and we can see here that it's 23.73 kilowatt hours for the day.
Just from today.
Just today.
March 21st.
March 21st.
Every bit that has been collected will be used if the house is needing it at that time, and any excess would go to Green Mountain Power as a bank, sort of, to hold it. This right here, this box, is the geothermal heat pump. And what that does is that heats our house, basically. And it draws heat from the ground where we have a well. And we draw water up to the well. And the water might be even 50 degrees. But the geothermal heat pump, this unit here, can take heat out of that and then put down the water back in the ground and this keeps going as long as it needs heat.
It should be pointed out that this is all run by electricity. So it's not, there's no combustion going on here, and that electricity is being supplied by the panels on the roof. So that's how this house can be approached net zero carbon too, because there's no combustion.
The wall is a double wall. It has two walls made with 2x4s, and in between there's a space. So total it's a 9-inch wall, and all that space is filled with cellulose insulation. Our house as a system works like makes us or allows us to be energy independent, and it's a wonderful feeling. I love living in this house. We all are like-minded, and it's wonderful to get together, and we do. We have a dinner together almost every month and enjoy ourselves immensely. And we celebrate each other's birthdays. It's a real community.
That's great.
It's fun. We're so glad to have our neighbors.
You guys ever compete to see who can have the most energy efficient home?
There's a little competition.
Oh, we compare bills.
So
far, we're winning.
So here we are above Chuck Reiss's South Farm homes. See a couple of the homes in the background, some gardens and a solar panel. As we turn to our right, you can see just how close we are to the town of Heinsberg. So these houses don't need very special settings. We are right here in Heinsberg.
Our company has gone into certifying homes in terms of energy audits and whatnot, so we are dedicated to taking the existing housing stock and making it more efficient, as well as building our new houses. Demonstrated here that now we can build new homes that do not require fossil fuel. I think that should be a requirement statewide, that any new home is required to produce all its own energy on site. We can do it, we can make that change tomorrow, but the political will's not there. If we all fight for our little sections, our policy is going to be stagnated the way it is, and politicians have to step outside and say, what is the best benefit for the Vermont community? And then take a look at it, pull their heads out of the sand, really take a close look at where we want to be and start planning ahead. Then I think we can make some real progress. It's a critical question in terms of timing, I think we need to move more people in this direction, and we need to, there's a wonderful program in Austria that talks about the stick, the carrot, the tambourine. And the stick being that we have to have some regulations that say, well, you no longer can build a house that consumes X number of BTUs a year beyond what is an efficient house. You just can't do it. The carrot is, all right, we'll offer you incentives to do that. And the tambourine would be just blasting people with education and explaining how beneficial this is, and sort of be the guy in the front of the parade with the flag saying, yeah, this is where we're going, So that's kind of how I could see this turning around in our state.
What do we need to start doing? What do we need to recognize as people and as Vermonters to really achieve this energy independence?
Good question. Well, a day like today, in the middle of March, reminds me that global warming is a serious, serious threat. And you can just ask some of the people out west where they have a beetle that's now able to survive winters that has destroyed forests. I mean, if something that catastrophic could happen here. So unless we get serious about really changing the amount of energy we consume, as an American population, we are 5% of the world's population, and we consume 25 to 30% of its energy. That has to stop. So building homes like this where we are now is one way to do that. In Vermont, we have resources that we need to look at. We've got wind, we've got wood, we've got sun, we've got hydro. All those have to play into the mix of how we get off fossil fuel. We're at the end of an era, or approaching the end of an era. And the sooner we realize that, the easier our transition is going to be. If we wait 30, 40, 50 years, that transition is going to be rugged. And I don't know if people want to be around when we go to the pump and they say, sorry, we can't give you any today. That kind of stuff we can avoid by making changes thoughtfully now. And this type of development where we're getting people off fossil fuel is the way to do it. Our resources are there. Wood is a big part of it. That's going to be a part of getting us into energy independence. So I'm pretty excited about, you know, recognizing that today in particular on one of the warmest marches I've ever experienced in my life.
Do you think the best solution is instead of looking at this from the outside in, kind of breaking this into smaller groups and seeing what we can do together from the inside out to get a more holistic approach to combating this energy crisis on our hands?
Yes. You said it better than I could. Yes, the concept of actually looking at holistically, I mean, everybody here, the plan was to give them a house, sustainable house, but also produce their own, as much food as they could here. Mm-hmm. And then the whole idea of having a farm here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, looking at neighborhoods holistically is probably a great way to go about this. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's kind of the demonstration we did here, so we can do it.
And this works.
It works.
And people are comfortable and they're not sacrificing their lifestyle.
Yeah, and you heard Gary and David, they love it here.
Yeah.
They get together, it creates community, it creates a sense of well-being of what they're doing. They're walking lightly on the planet and they all love it.